Hi and welcome to the Leaderonomics show. Today we have with us Samuel Kim. He's the co-founder and president of CALI, that's the Center for Asia Leadership Initiatives. Samuel's a very interesting individual. He grew up in many different countries. He was a strategy consultant. He was an entrepreneur. Right now he's even doing his master's at the Harvard University Kennedy School of Government. But why is he focusing on Asian leadership at this point in time? Well, I sat down with him to find out. So let's cut to the interview and see what he has to say. And so thank you for being here, Samuel.
Thank you, Lily.
So you are the founder and CEO of the Center for Asia Leadership Initiatives.
Yes.
In short, it's called CALI, isn't
CALI.
it? Right. Tell us about yourself, because you've got a really interesting background. You spend time in a lot of different countries. Can you share how you got to where you are today?
Sure. So I spent first 10 years of my life in Korea. Then I went to Philippines. That was the first country that I visited. My parents were humanitarian workers. I followed them. And when I got there, I was really shocked. The place I was living in, it was a very humble neighborhood. It's more like a jungle. There was no running water, no electric power. And the people I saw there were very, very underprivileged. Children were not going to the school. People who were sick were not able to go to hospital. Seeing that for 10 years, what I learned was the importance of effective and strong leadership. Yeah. What is leadership to me? Why is leadership so important? What is governance? So I've learned a lesson of the importance of these two, knowing that it is really what effective leadership matters, that it will affect the people.
I think that's really interesting. You've actually hit something, because Leaderonomics is in leadership too, and some people say leadership, what's that got to do with anything?
Right.
But it relates to so many things, right?
Yes. So spending 10 years in the Philippines really gave me this strong, important lesson about leadership. And since then, I came back to Korea. I went to undergrad in Korea. And the first job I got was serving in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So I was working at the United Nations there as well. There were so many problems around the world, but a lot of them had got to do with leadership and about governance. So that was a great lesson for me on an international level, understanding about how having an effective and strong leadership was important to the future of the people in the country. And then my next career was with the National Assembly, equivalent to Parliament here. And what I did was really mobilizing the experiences that I had. What is important that people needs to get benefited? How should leaders exercise the right form of leadership that people can benefit? That was my second career, that I was able to learn about leadership and also, in a way, exercise my own leadership. Then came a moment that where I felt that I needed a different career. So what I did was that I started up a company. It was a franchise company, and it was the first social enterprise in Korea. Right. It was targeting the low-income families in Korea. It cost about $200,000 to start up to have our own shop. But somehow I was very lucky enough to come up with a model where if you need about $30,000, you can have your own shop. So what I did was that I bought all the second-hand utensils, the tools, the kitchen tools, tables, whatnot. And then what I did was that I gave them these tools to help them make a living. So my focus was really on giving them the tools, teaching them how to fish, and make a living. And that lesson, I've run that for 4 years. That gave me a strong lesson, really a clear lesson as to what does it mean to be. What does it mean to exercise leadership? It's not that you have to become a politician to exercise leadership. It's identifying at that moment how you can impact the lives of the people around you. What are the resources that you can take advantage of, mobilize, to use them to impact the people around you in your own realms.
And it's also equipping them so that they can continue to do the same, right?
Yes.
So it's not just dependent on you.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Then came a moment where I needed more experience. So what I did was that if I want to become a national leader someday, as a Korean, you have to go and serve in the army.
Right. Right.
That was where I really learned the importance of humility, serving the country, mobilizing people, working, collaborating with people. After serving the Army for 2 years, I went to work for a private consulting company. It was a management consulting company, and that gave me the skills and the tools as to how, what I can do to come up with a fine line product where I can use that to benefit the companies that I work with, the government that I was working with, helping them to improve the operations, just understanding the whole picture of what was needed in each one of the companies to help them operate even better. Then looking back, I was thinking about, okay, say that 20 to 30 years from now, looking back and reflecting upon my walk of life, will I be very happy about what I did in the past? Will I be, what kind of value have I created?
Yeah.
What is the legacy that I have left behind that I'll be very proud of? So that really struck me, and it just got me about half a year seriously thinking about my future. So far the past 9 to 10 years had been crazy, working almost 14 to 16 hours a day, but I really wanted to be remembered as a person who did something for my country and for my community. So I've decided to pursue further studies, and I've applied for Harvard Kennedy School of Government. Very luckily, it was very lucky. It wasn't that I was smart or anything.
Are you sure?
No, definitely I wasn't a lucky one. But what I did was that they accepted me. I had the honor of going and studying for 2 years. And when it was my first opportunity to go overseas and study. When I got there, I was really mesmerized. I was really amazed at how the incredible programs, the courses there were. But you know that studying in the U.S. is really, really expensive.
Yeah.
It cost about $75,000 to study.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, I'm here because I am able to afford this, but what about the other people? And not only that, the courses I've taken really made me to transform. It was where I really grasped the ideas as to how I can become a true leader.
Yeah, the lights came on.
Yes. Knowing that, understanding that, I was beginning to think that, what if I be an agent? I take the role of channeling these incredible programs and the courses to Asia. As Asia is becoming a very important player in the global marketplace, I realized that, had I brought these programs in Asia, individuals will be greatly benefited, and I thought that we can have a better world in Asia.
Yeah.
The first thing I did was that my second semester, I had this opportunity of bringing 36 of my friends from Harvard to Korea. I wanted to show them what my country was like. We went to DMZ, we visited companies like Samsung, LG. We also had a meeting with the national leaders. And what I realized, the common theme, the common topic that they were telling me was that despite that Koreans were spending so much money, effort, and time into studying, Korea has the world's highest college enrollment rate.
Right.
From what I know, about 73 out of 100 people go to college.
Yeah.
But that despite that they spend so much time on studying, from the company and from the government's perspective, we were not raising the type of leaders that these companies and the government was wanting, needed. That was it was a striking fact to me.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how much money we're spending, the time we're spending.
Yeah.
But
So meaning the output of the education system is not
Yes,
meeting the
yes.
demands of, the next
yes,
phase.
there was a
right?
mismatch between the type of individuals that the education system was cultivating as opposed to the type of people that the companies wanted.
Yeah.
So they were saying that these are the 4 skills that they lack. 1, cooperativity, working in groups, managing a productive group dynamics. Number 2, communication.
Yeah.
Number 3, critical thinking or practical reasoning is how I put it. Last skill is the implementability. implement plus ability. Ability to implement, ability to formulate.
Yeah.
So in fact, the system that the Korean individuals were being raised was not the type of leaders that had these skills. 2 months later, I got back to Harvard. I flew my friends from this region, Southeast Asia. We organized a 7-country track to Asia. And we began Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Laos, and Myanmar. And I was very lucky enough to have also the meetings with the leaders of the country. What I realized was that this skills that Korean individuals lacked wasn't just only a problem that was limited to Korea. It was actually an Asian problem.
Yes.
So, much of our education, they focus on regurgitation, rote learning, memory, and spitting out of what they've learned.
Yes.
And not only that, the system trains individuals to identify only one right answer. Whereas there's so many different ways you can identify to get there.
Yes.
So they don't really nurture creativity. They don't really encourage individuals to talk, collaborate, and discuss, as how you said it. They don't even encourage others to become a practical reasoning skills, given that much of our study is really focused on you alone.
Yeah.
You're sitting down, looking at the facts, memorizing, and spitting out what you've learned.
Now, this is really interesting because every stage of your life, you keep talking about value adding. And you're saying that, these problems that you identified in Korea, you see it in all of Asia, but you grew up in Asia. So
yes.
How come you're the way you are? Was it your experience in the Philippines that influenced the way you think? What's shaped the way you see the world?
So I think my experience at Harvard really, really transformed me, as I've said, as I've told you. I define leadership this way. A great leader has to have 3 elements. 1, knowing, doing, and being. We need knowledge. We need expertise. We need them in order to understand about the world that we live in.
Yes.
But what's also important is putting into practice of what you've learned.
Absolutely.
Knowledge, right?
If
You have to create a value, right?
Yeah.
It's about doing with what you know. It's about creating a value. How can you use the knowledge and expertise that you've picked up in school and using that to be a value add to the community that you're living in?
Yeah.
Most importantly is the being aspect. It is really about what kind of person that we should become. It is about thinking about how can I become a type of person that this country, for example, Malaysia, would need. It's about the being of you. What kind of person do you want to become? What kind of mentality do you want to have to help your community to grow? So I would say that knowing, doing, and being is really important. These are the 3 important elements that I think the leaders must have. But again, just going back to the education system, 90% of the energy is put into knowing.
Yeah.
They don't really teach about what to do, how to do with what you know, and about what kind of person that you should become.
Yeah.
So I saw a deficiency in the system that we had, and so that what I saw my role was that why not that I bring the skills and the tools I've gained
to help in steps 2 and 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
To bring it to Asia by bringing him, channeling the best practices, the world-leading best practices at Harvard, MIT, and Fletcher, to Asia, where by using these skills and the tools, I thought that the impact would be immense enough to bring about a change in this region.
If you were a young person going through the education system in Asia, as we know it, as we all understand it, what is one thing they can do? Because they can't help that they go to a particular school. What can they do to really cultivate this sort of, like you say, not just knowing, but doing? And because that's a mindset shift. What can they do?
I think I've had a workshop today. There were about 40 young Malaysians in my workshop. That was the question that one of the individuals asked me, and I found that question very, very good. To that question, my answer was that, of course, if you're a student, what you need to focus on is knowing part. Again, knowing and expertise or knowledge or expertise is the foundational element to next doing and being. So at this time, this is the perfect timing for that person to acquire whatever knowledge so you can have a better understanding of the world that you're living in. And then somehow, not only that, but also exposing yourself to all different kinds of experience.
Yeah.
You know, and one thing that I've stressed on was do community service. Engage yourself in community service.
Great.
And not only that, engage with other people. You know, by talking to other people. I mean, I told them that many of my ideas came from by having a conversation with other people. I mean, they are the ones who are helping me to craft, to mold the idea, the very fuzzy idea that I have, but it's the help that I'm getting. A lot of the creative ideas, innovative ideas are drawn from the conversation that I have with people.
Sure.
Not only that, again, going back to the community service, by serving others, you learn about the values. It helps you to learn about how you can be the type of person that this country needs. But also, this is more of a practical thing, but I've actually told them to spend time learning about the current affairs. Through the use by reading a magazine, learn how other people think. And learn about different perspectives out there in the world.
Absolutely.
And so, of course, there's not much that people can do or the students can do, but in their own realms, there's so many different ways that they can pick up the skills, the mentality that they need, and the knowledge that they have. But again, this event that we're having here in Sunway, we've limited the age group to 16 to 26. The reason for doing so was that I saw this age group very critical. This was the age group that many were thinking about, what am I going to do for my future career? It is at a time where, it will be their highest level of uncertainty, right? And the fact that people like me who have gone through that stage, if we share some of our stories, experiences, and the best practice that we bring, it is our role, it is our responsibility to help them minimize the risk or minimize the trial and error stage so that, whatever they do, they can find a better way of creating a value to the society. We're mentors by sharing our stories and experiences. I think I should tell you this. We have 9 fellows from Harvard. For choosing these 9, we had to interview 40 people. But there were 3 things that had to be met, requirements. One, they need to have experienced, they need to have a story of failure. It was a must. Yes, it was a must that these fellows need to undergo certain stage of frustration. Because failure teaches us a lesson. It helps you to become a person. And not only that, they need to have a strong sense of responsibility. And third, they need to maintain a high quality of professionalism in teaching, a passion in teaching. So it wasn't easy to select 9 fellows, but
you're getting
again,
75%.
But luckily, I was able to bring 9 here.
That's great.
And again, from the failures, people who has failure, stories of failure, they have an incredible story to share with. I want to have them not only teach again the best practices at Harvard, but also through the TED Talks and talk show. I wanted them to share their story and inspire people from within. And not only with that, we also need some practical lessons. So for example, how do you write a statement of purpose, for example? What are the do's and don'ts in the interviews? How do you build your resume? How do you give an elevator speech, pitch, for example? These are all very practical skills that they need. Also, is the career mentoring, right? So we provide 9 different careers, and because they have been in that field for the past, on average, 6 years, they have a lot of tips to share, a lot of shortcuts to share, a lot of useful information to share. Again, our broad picture is really help the young Malaysians here in the country to not only help them to have their lives very successful, but also a change maker. So we are giving the skills and the tools to them, and also the right set of mentality. So with that, they can go out and solve the problems that they think is important to be solved.
Yeah.
So that's the value I think I'm adding
That's fantastic.
here in Malaysia.
That's great. And I guess it's a responsibility that we all should bear, right?
Yes.
To
yes,
always
yes.
be passing on these stories and be inspiring the next generation.
Yes, right,
so that
right.
we don't keep making the same mistakes again and again, right?
Absolutely,
so we can move forward.
absolutely.
Well,
Yes.
thank you so much for your time. It's been really fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Lily.
being with us.
Thank you.
And we've had Samuel here with us for the Leaderonomics show. Thank you for watching.